I don't know who needs to hear this tarot reading today. You're better off single, okay? I don't know who needs to hear this today, but the message is coming through very clear in these cards over here. We do have perspective, better off, clear headspace, past, looking, in the past. We do have the card single, independent, freedom from, no attachments, and then foundation, established, family, security. For some of you, whether this reading be past, present, or future, because as I start this tarot reading, it feels like it could even be in the past. What I'm hearing is you were right. Some of you may have had pressure, like to be in a relationship, but you were right in having that time, that period, that cycle of being single. And what I do see is, if you're resonating so far, your time of being single, and all of a sudden I feel Cleopatra. This feels like a very powerful message coming through. I'm getting two different things. One, you may be building a foundation that someone will join in the future, if you're open to partnership. Or two, you also don't have to build a foundation that, say, someone's going to join in the future. Just build the foundation. Now, what I'm hearing is, for some of you, you are better off single because you're meant to build an empire. And it's not to say that a relationship can delay or keep you from building an empire, but I will say, just, logically, it takes up a lot of your time. Okay? And for some of you, there's like, say, the ego desires, right? Gratification of, and 144, as I say that, with 33 minutes on the clock. So you could be seeing the number 144 or 333. That could mean that this reading is for you. We as humans, we definitely want the ego desires and gratification, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, all of it, it could fill us up. It could make us feel good, right? However, what I'm seeing here is you're someone that, if you are disciplined, you have a huge empire in your name. If you are disciplined, there is a huge empire and foundation already in your name. And I think of Cleopatra that did have a big empire. However, I think of Cleopatra, right? Solomon, similar figures in history. What led to the leaky energy of money? Relationships, okay? Romance, relationships, or even those situationships, the third parties can definitely bring some financial karma, okay? Where Cleopatra's empire could have probably been even bigger if there wasn't so much drama in the love life. For some of you, being single is actually a protection for something to manifest. All right, this reading is not going to resonate with everyone at all. But if it resonates so far, you could be any zodiac sign. And if you would like a personal tarot reading, a private session with me, or to download our Akashic Records mini course, check out the box below. It does have the website 144bluerosetemple.com, and you can become a Blue Rose member today by joining the Patreon Blue Rose Mystery School. All right, what is this empire that the collective is creating? Why do we have single and established foundation? I see why. This is Akashic. Okay, this is about to become a very specific reading. Now, some of you may resonate with Cleopatra in some way, shape, or form, but it's interesting that I mention her. Here's the thing. In a past life, you lost everything because of a spouse. Because of someone that you were dating, you lost everything. They manipulated your wealth and your empire, your own partner or your dating spouses, And it feels like I was meant to mention Cleopatra in that story because, past lives, it definitely could have been bigger. There definitely could have been more things, going on in, say, her empire, or Solomon or this or that, if there wasn't all of the romance kind of stuff that happened in between. Now let's grab the past life oracle deck. Why do we have past life and manipulation? Karmic relationship, okay? In a past life, you had a karmic relationship. We do have galactic here as well. You could resonate with galactic or starseed energy. All right, you had a karmic relationship that you lost everything. And this was a part of your soul mission, though, to complete. So it feels like in this lifetime, you're like, I don't, you're not really called to romance, or it's never worked out for you. And it feels like there's a soul vow for you to complete, and there's not meant to be anyone to get in the way of it. You know, either they're with you or they're not with you, but it's literally either or. They're with you in the empire or they're not. There's something in devotion. There is something that your soul is devoted to completing in this lifetime. Feeling complete, can't stop smiling, happiness, devotion. Now, why do we have single and established foundation here? Why single and established foundation? But this is a little, look at that, truth. A little bit unconventional. So you might piss a lot, I said a few people off with this, where you're breaking traditional norms. Oh, look at that. Having fun, clubbing, risky, fun with friends, and then call. Why do we have having fun, clubby? Why do we have having fun, clubbing, and risky with call? Why do we have having fun, clubbing, risky, and call? You're held to a very high standard here. Again, I see relationships, but also for some of you, you need to hear this. Even say it's not just a relationship, because sometimes people are like, oh, I just need something casual. I don't want a relationship. Be careful with the casual too. That's what this reading is saying. Be careful. That's still a relationship. You're just manipulating it, where, and not necessarily, truth, but, sometimes people will convince themselves of like, well, this isn't bad because of this. Where it feels like, for some of you, especially if you're resonating with this reading, I do see that, you may be not meant for partnership for some time, but I'm going to be honest in this reading, what I'm seeing is someone trying to convince themselves of, I do casual partnerships because I'm not meant to commit to anything or to anyone. Now, I will say, I really don't see that you're committing to someone right now. However, I will say be mindful of, just in this tarot reading, it feels like spiritual bestie, you might be trying to convince yourself that it's like, yeah, but casual is okay because I'm just not meant to be tethered to anyone. It's still a spiritual covenant, okay? Where like intimacy, right? Like being with someone, even if it's no sneaky links. For some of you, a spiritual bestie, I'm going to be honest, it's not what you want to hear, spiritual bestie, and I'm on your side, spiritual bestie. But I will say in this tarot reading, Spirit saying you got to go the whole way, okay? Where it's like no partnership. But I will say I don't see casual or sneaky links here too. In another lifetime, and I don't want to use the words you may have convinced yourself, because even Solomon had 300 wives, right? Your life may be a little bit similar here, though, where you're not meant to be, say, in one partnership. For some of you, you might, practice like casual partnerships. Some of you may be poly in some way, shape, or form, past, present, or future as well. Because there's an energy here of wanting open connections, and you're right in this reading. You're really actually not meant for partnership. But I will say this actually feels like more ego desire. When you're with someone, even if it's not like, hey, me and you, we are a couple, you're forming a spiritual covenant in the unseen without seeing it. And I will say it feels like this empire of yours is asking for your full devotion. Devotion here. Why do we have butterflies and devotion for single and established foundation? Why do we have single and devotion? This reading. I don't always cry I will say this reading actually kind of makes me want to cry. In the other channel, I'm always crying. But this reading kind of makes me want to cry. Where You're someone that there's a part of the human experience that I will say in past lives, this success has been sabotaged for you so much. It's actually your spiritual protection to not be in a relationship. At least right now, we're not claiming it forever. At least right now. Okay. You're being led to be single for a while. But I will say, spirit is not necessarily saying of like being with people casually. I see kind of like a life of, in celibacy and abstinence are two different things. But I will say I'm seeing that. Not necessarily abstinence, we have the white rose here, purification. Peace, it says peace, balance, harmony, friendships, memories. It says bittersweet. I will say it seems like it is fate that something's going to work out for you. There's some sort of fortune, like fame and fortune is what I'm seeing here. A beautiful established foundation that is so strong, so wealthy, so secure. But it takes you building it without being in a relationship. I actually see you being single. And for some of you, it's either like your choice and you're living in that, or I do see every time you try to date, it doesn't work. And it's actually for a reason. And we do have shocking here where it feels like this is shocking. Now we understand too the energy that we share with other people, even romantically, that is life force energy, vitality, which is also the realm of wealth. Your quantum realm of wealth, money, and prosperity is very protected. But it's protected from people that would bring you out of balance. Like it feels like what this reading is saying is, hey, the vow, the mission, the foundation, your lover has to match your foundation. If not, I see that it doesn't work. Why do we have single, established foundation? Why do we have single and established foundation for the collective here? It's interesting here. Hostilities and then indecision, the unknown, where there's something for your soul to complete. Your soul has tried to complete this for lifetimes. And yeah, it's you're so protected that anyone that would bring you out of balance. And again, how do I word this? How do I word this? Yeah, you're someone who your soul destiny, this success for you on a soul level has been skipped over you for so many lifetimes that it feels like in this lifetime, you're going to complete it and you're protected from almost like every person that would get in the way of it. What do we have here for single and then established foundation? Now, have positive expectations. We do have the eyes of beauty, positive expectations, and then clarity here. So you're getting clarity on your soul path. Also have positive expectations. Now, why do we have past lives and manipulation? Why do we have past lives and manipulation? Manipulation came out for past lives and manipulation. Okay, people took advantage of the fact that you were so loving and kind. Selflessness, humility, conscious action. For some of you, this may be a very spiritual purpose as well. I think everything is spiritual, but we do have like the smoke that's over here. Now we do have the shadow king or queen, manipulation. We do have envy and insecurity too here. You're someone that is meant to be very focused in this lifetime. Say, for example, you're a speaker and you go out to speak, or say you have any fame and fortune in some way, shape, or form. You're building your established foundation. But it feels like in past lives, like say your lover's like, no, come home, spend time with me. And it's not to not do that. In a marriage, in a relationship, you should. But you're really someone who is focused, is like on a mission here. And I will say you're not meant to be in traditional norms where it's just, it feels like this actually takes up your time. Let's see what this is here. And I will say, people might even feel like it feels like an a-hole reading this tarot reading for you. That's just like, that relationship has taken up my time, You're not meant to go by traditional norms. I see you as someone who has no partner in this reading. There's a lot of autonomy here. Or if you have a partner, they match the foundation or they don't. And it feels like it's that firm. But it does ask you of a lot of spiritual and, say physical, mental discipline here. Now, why do we have single, established foundation, manipulation, past life? Why do we have single, established foundation, manipulation, and past life? There is past life success that you're meant to fulfill. Why the King of Cups for single, established foundation, past life manipulation? Why the King of Cups and the Two of Wands for single, established foundation, past life manipulation? Whoa. Success in reverse. Could have come from a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. You could be with one. Why the Emperor card for single, established foundation, manipulation? Why the Emperor card for single, established foundation, manipulation, past life? In a past life, your success was sabotaged because of relationships. Why the Six of Cups for single, established foundation, past life manipulation? Why the Six of Cups and the Strength card for single, established foundation, past life manipulation? Yeah, I will say there's more than one past life of a close relationship. Really, I'm seeing a romantic partnership of them sabotaging your success. This happened in the Six of Cups is the past. Why the Strength card, the Six of Cups, and the Death card for single, established foundation? The Five of Swords is a card of sabotage here. Why the King of Cups, the Six of Wands in reverse, and the Two of Wands for single, established foundation, past life manipulation? High Priestess over here. So they were attacking not something is that they couldn't see the success, but there's something about the success that they don't see in this reading. Why the High Priestess here for the Six of Wands in reverse? Four of Swords, the Knight of Wands. Why the Six of Wands in reverse and the High Priestess here? Why the Six of Wands in reverse? You often walked away from material success for love in past lives. And it always affected your finances. Like, how people come into a relationship and they just kind of blend into one another? That's like what you would do. But what you didn't realize in past lives is like that wasn't the mission. Six of Coins here. That wasn't the mission. Why the Emperor card and the Four of Wands? Why the Emperor card and the Four of Wands for single, established foundation, past life manipulation? Whoa, because of marriage. Four of Wands and the Hierophant. These are two marriage cards. Why the Emperor, the Four of Wands, and the Hierophant for single, established foundation, past life manipulation? Now, why the Death card and the Five of Swords for single, established foundation? This could be an Aries, Leo, Sag. A lot of Aries, Leo, Sag here. We do have a little bit of Pisces. Yeah, we have Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. We have Aries, Leo, Sag. Now, where is the collective's energy in single, established foundation? It is relationships that bring this to you, but not you by yourself. And there are rather many past lives that, because of romantic partnership especially, you ended up forfeiting your success. 9 of coins. And so for some of you in this lifetime, you've been single for some time, don't know why you're not really interested in relationships, or you've tried and they never, ever work out for you. 999, you're actually you're closing out a soul cycle in this lifetime. The number 9 is closing out cycles, final karmic cycles rather. It's only relationships that bring chaos and conflict to your success and foundation. We have the arts here. Past life over here, the arts. So that could also resonate with you as that card just fell out. Now, what's coming in the future? What's coming in the future for the collective for a single established foundation? Ace of Swords, this is the truth, okay? Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, clarity and truth here. All right, you're about to have a breakthrough because it feels like you also discovered maybe some sort of past life truth as well that does lead to your physical manifestation of success, of victory, of wealth, and prosperity. But that's only because you figured out something from a past life here, a past life contract. All right, why the King of Swords and the Ace of Swords for single established foundation for what's coming in? What is coming in for the collective for single and established foundation? Are you dealing with an Aries, Leo, Sag? Why the Moon card and the King of Wands for what's coming in for single and established foundation? Well, and there goes your 10 of coins, and there goes your partner. It's interesting here. I will say you're someone that whether you have chosen this out of your own free will, or it's not like you're choosing it out of your own free will, it never works out in romance. The partner goes, the legacy and 10 of coins comes in. This is the richest card in the entire deck. But this comes in whenever the partner goes. When the partner comes in, it depletes. You know, for some of you, you need to hear these words. That won't be forever. But it feels like there's almost some sort of like Akashic ward, like over your success, where it's not going to, the partnership will come in, but only with an independent foundation. Now, for some of you, there is a past life, some sort of vow. You're not supposed to mix up your name with other people. So, for example, in a romantic partnership, the traditional way is we get married, we put everything together, sign a prenup, okay? You are someone where non-gender specific, it's like, hey, I got to sign a Akashic, a physical prenup. We do have the card proposal here. I just have a few of them, so I took it out. It's like, hey, we got to sign a prenup here in the Akashic and in the physical. And I will say you're someone that if they love you, they will sign a prenup. If they love you, they will. Vice versa, I guess. Because you're someone that the partnership, it's not to say you're not meant for partnership, but not at all in traditional means. And it's the kind of thing of, if you love me, you will not tie yourself to my money, honey. That's what this reading is actually saying. You're meant to have an independent foundation that no one can touch. And only the wrong people would see it with the wrong eyes, positive expectations, and clarity. The only thing this reading is saying, because I will say, some people may say you as an a-hole, reading this tarot reading is kind of like, damn. But I will say it's not personal. This is for everyone in your life. And it's spiritual protection of my foundation is my foundation. We are not coming together, collaborating. Our names are not legally binding. No, not at all. But I'm here. And so I will say you are someone, you're right about that, where in the beginning of the reading of having fun and clubbing and kind of risky, where you kind of want love and relationship with a lot of distance. I will say you're right, but you're still not meant for casual connections where that still leaks your energy and you can get yourself into karmic situations even in that way. You are meant for partnership that is respectful of your boundaries, of your empire. and doesn't want a part of it. They just want you. There's something about God's will for you, a vow for you, that is meant to be untouched. And the person that's right for you will see you in that light. The person that is aligned with you and right for you is never going to see you in any other eye than this eye of truth. It's truly not personal. I will say you're actually not avoidant. This is the Akashic Records. But I will say you might piss people off because you appear avoidant. And that's truth in this reading. But I will say, like, you're not avoidant. This is the Akashic Records, where when people, try to say that you're avoidant, it's actually protection. And the fact that they're even saying of like, oh, that person doesn't give me enough, that's still a sign of like, hey, okay, I guess this is not going to work out, because that's just not, it's not how you operate in your life. This is also like someone that, say you do work a lot, I will say it's not going to change. Where, say in a relationship, it's like, well, now we're married, so can you decrease your hours? I will say you're meant to build and create in this world what you're meant to build and to create. And this is more going to be someone that loves you through the distance. And I'm now seeing in my mind's eye Mary Magdalene and Jesus, where they were not always side by side, and they often were across the world from one another. So are you not meant for relationships at all? I will say you're meant for a very specific blueprint and aligned with a very specific type of person. And you do need a very specific type of person in your life. And people take you the wrong way. You're not avoidant at all. I will say, I mean, if you're doing this, like you have casual connections and you're trying to avoid, like the depths, of a relationship, it can definitely appear avoidant. But what it really feels like is you're actually picking up on this Akashic Records soul contract of you're very protected, but so is like your wealth and your life. People are not meant to like hop onto your foundation. What I'm also seeing, like, like bug spray. You know how like if you spray bug spray, the bug can't even land on it. The bug would instantly disintegrate and die if they touch like the spray. It's almost like there's some sort of Akashic Records bug spray upon your life. And if anybody lands on it, it doesn't work. It's just not aligned, like not the rest of that stuff, but this is actually spiritual protection. You're not an avoidant person, and you really crave partnership. And that's why, if anything, you were kind of having for some of you in the past, I will say some sneaky connections, okay? Sneaky links, casual. Look at this party, distant, sneaky, the kind of thing where as long as you know what this is, like let's have a beautiful time. But you're not even really meant for that. I will say that too. And the only reason, like, while people think that you're avoidant, the only reason why you were doing that or in that energy is because of this. You actually want partnership. You crave physical connection and you can't have it. You're someone who's very disciplined. And I will say that's just a human nature kind of thing. Like, you're just being human here, where there's a lot of discipline expected of you in your life. But you're like, well, I would like some human contact and maybe even some romantic contact. That's what I'm seeing in this reading. But it's like bittersweet, where it's like, well, your peace is really protected, as people aren't as close to you. But I will say there's a lot about friendships here. And for some of you, you may have love in your life, but in different forms, where love is not just romance. And in this reading, it's actually encouraging you to see the love in your life, the love, say, with a child, the love with a friend, right? That intimacy with a friend, of being seen, of the depth, all of that. You will experience love in so many different ways. I don't see romance for, I will say, some part of your life. And for some of you, it might be for a long time. I'll be very honest in this reading, spiritual bestie. And I do see a part of your life where maybe for some of you, I see some casual hookups and things like that, spiritual bestie, just saying what I see. But on your end, I will say I'm kind of defending you, spiritual bestie. In your life, you're so spiritually protected that not a lot of people get in, and you're only human. And I will say you crave partnership and connection. So when people do think you're an a-hole, or when they think that you're an avoidant, no, you're not at all. All right, let's grab another card of advice. What's another card of advice for the collective for single, established foundation, past life manipulation? Why do we have single, established foundation, past life manipulation? It's so sacred here. Trustworthy. Yeah, where people take you the wrong way, but even as, like, again, your spiritual bestie, I can see it from the outside in. I will say, if I saw you acting like this, if I didn't have, time to look into your energy, I'm like, well, damn, that person's kind of avoidant, or there seems like that person's only into casual connections, avoiding, real partnership. But just like this tarot reading, if someone were to dive deeper or were to ask you, or say in Akashic Records, right? I understand. I completely understand you in this reading. You're also very sacred. This reading is saying to treat you as sacred. There is, for those of you that resonate with the Orishas, there's a saying that says, mind your own Odu. And when we say mind your own Odu, what that means is everybody has a written plan for their life. Everybody has a soul destiny, or say, in New Age spirituality, in Western spirituality, we say the words Akashic Records. Everybody has their own Akashic Records and what, is part of their contract and life lessons. So just mind your own Odu or mind your own Akashic Records. That's really what this reading is saying too, because this is, maybe different than how a lot of people operate. I mean, in an Akashic Records session, it's like, yeah, that makes complete sense as to why their human experience looks and feels that way and has manifested that way. This makes complete sense. We do have water flight. The heaviness lifts, burdens are cast away in weightlessness. Okay, where there's some sort of, and I'm hearing the words, a spiritual weight being lifted off your shoulders. We all operate differently and have a very unique human design and soul blueprint as to why it is that we're here and how we operate on Earth in this human experience. And Spirit's kind of protecting you here, where, again, even the people who are just like, oh, they don't like people. They don't like partnerships. That person is avoidant and this and that. Spirit saying, mind your own business, mind your own Odu, mind your own Akashic Records. And even me as your spiritual bestie, again, if I see these three words, I'm like, damn, that's an avoidant person. No, Akashic Records, soul contracts. Is this always the best idea or option? Not always. But you were doing this because you crave partnership and you're so spiritually protected, you don't really get much of it. We have treating as sacred here. God is like protecting you in this reading. And there's a key that Aphrodite is holding. And so that's actually Aphrodite here in that reading. Rather, in that card right there, it says the return of Aphrodite. Now, Aphrodite had many lovers. I mentioned Cleopatra, didn't I? I mentioned Cleopatra. Now, for some of you, you could be a feminine because even the single card is feminine. I'm a feminine reading this. And for some of you, maybe that's also breaking traditional norms. They usually see this in like the king and divine masculine energy, right? And for a woman to be in that energy, it's even more taboo. It's like, where even for a male, they're like, oh, why is he up to that? In a woman, I would say it's even worse, where they're like, whoa, that's really breaking traditional norms. Now, the saying about Aphrodite is Aphrodite, should I say it? Because this is true about Aphrodite, so it's not like if I say it, it's not true. It says no, not to say it. Aphrodite was known to not have one consort, and that's like what I'm trying to say. In the story of Aphrodite, Aphrodite was very free. And I will say this reading is not necessarily saying for you to be free, because I will say it says not to do that. But some of you may have been like that in your life, and it's just in this tarot reading. I'm understanding why. You are someone, though, that you may not be meant for a consort, whether that be your whole life or for some time. A little bit more free. I will say, God, spirit, your spirit team is saying it's okay for this person. You're being given permission. You don't need permission. I will say that. Like, part of your path is that you don't need permission. But that's actually why your life is this way. And for some of you, you're releasing your own guilt and shame. I'll just grab two more cards of advice. What are two more cards of advice for single, established? Ooh, the secret. The light priestess or priest. Where, again, in society, people get shamed because of this energy. You don't have to absorb anyone else's shame. And for some of you, this is on an Akashic level. And every time, space, and dimension, release your shame. You're living in your God-given design and in God's will. All right. Where galactic wisdom, cosmic ritual, I will say this is being confirmed that this is coming from the Akashic realm, and we have the secret, the unknown mysteries. But it feels like more the secret is kind of just revealing the secret about you, where that's why you're not getting the karma and this and that. You operate differently, and you're not meant to follow traditional norms. So that's what I have for you. I do hope that it resonates in a positive way. I'm sending you all so much love and so many blessings to your day.